All right, you guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we'll be decoding the long-awaited film from 1985 called Return to Oz. Now, this was a Disney film, a Walt Disney film, and it is loaded. This film by far has the most occult symbolism I've ever seen in a Wizard of Oz movie. You're going to see echoes of both of the Wicked movies, the first one that came out in 2024 and the newest Wicked for Good movie. There are talking animals. There's a cowardly lion that goes on all fours. And also, the film introduces some new occult characters to the Oz universe. The first character is Gump, and Gump is a golem moose head assembled from a bunch of disassociated parts, and then he's anointed with what they call the powder of life. And I believe Gump, the moose head, represents Trump, and you'll see that because there's an AI named TikTok in the film as well, and he built Gump, the golem, which is exactly what happened in real life in 2016. Yes, TikTok had just launched on the eve of the election, and they're saying that TikTok is what got Trump the youth vote that helped get him elected. An AI, just like the AI TikTok in this film. Now, let's begin to break this down. Today's date is November 26th, 2025, unless I re-upload this video, which I could at some point. But this is crazy, you guys. Look at the total budget and box office. It's $39 million. Trump was 39 when the movie came out, and it released on Sun God Day, Apollo Day, the summer solstice, when Trump was 39 years old. 39 million, Trump was 39, and June 21st has 193, which is the opposite of 39, days left in the year. Now, before we get into this, let me check in with you guys. Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. If you've ever had electric shock therapy, you need to turn this off right now, because there are scenes of a little girl being shocked with electric shock therapy, and that would most definitely be a trigger. So I would need you to turn this off right now, because I'm not here to trigger somebody who's been through this trauma, but we do need to get to the bottom of this to protect the people that have gone through this. Now, before we delve into this, it hit me the other day, because one of you said, well, Casey, you live in the Ozarks. That has Oz in it. What does that mean? Well, the connection that came to my mind was Kansas. And for many of you that live in Arkansas or know about Arkansas, you know that Arkansas has the word Kansas in it. And ark can mean many things, can it? The prefix ark, as well as Ozark, right? So it's weird that Dorothy is from Kansas, but she gets lost in Oz. Now, what does the ark mean? Well, the ark can mean the opposite of, or basically set apart from. So you could look at the word Arkansas or the state Arkansas as something set apart from Kansas, which was the portal to the land of Oz. Kind of like, if you think about it like this, the ark is what protected all life that was left on the earth and took it through the portal, didn't it? What are you talking about, Case? There's no portal in the Bible. Well, absolutely there is. All of creation. Think about this for a minute. All of creation passed through from the old world to the new. 8 people and the animals passed through to the other side, And it was absolutely a birthing ritual. What are you talking about, Casey? Well, the birthing ritual, 40 days and nights, just so happens to be the amount of time that a child gestates in the human womb. 40 weeks. In the water world, and then delivered onto the other side. They went through a portal, a narrow gate. All of the DNA of creation was in that ark. And we had another ark in the Bible, didn't we? We had the Ark of the Covenant. And what did it do? It led the Israelites through the wilderness. They were the remnant. Led them through the water world. The Red Sea was parted, and they were in the wilderness for 40 years. Another birthing ritual. Now, when I say birthing ritual, I say that in a good light because the Most High was directing all of that. I'm not saying that as a negative, but I'm trying to get you to understand what the ark actually means. So, the Ozarks might be a place of protection from the land of Oz, which, believe it or not, for those of you that follow the Honey Milk Ranch, you've already seen that on display. This is why I tell you all of this fits together. This isn't, oh, that's my homestead channel and this is my decode channel. The whole thing fits together. There's abundant wildlife and fauna and edibles. I showed you guys the wild plantains growing right out of the ground in soil that doesn't look like it could support that because there's a lot of clay there. There's a super low tax base that I've shared with you guys. The property values are actually still affordable for land. There's plenty of water. It rains 40 inches a year there. And it's largely free from the beast economic system. Now, nothing's going to be completely free. But you can almost see it as an ark in the last days. Some people have even noticed that the state of Arkansas looks like Noah's Ark if you were standing on the ground looking up at it. The general shape. Now, you might think all this is silly, but I'm not the only one who has made these observations. There are lots of people who are very, very close to God who have come to the Ozarks for the very same things that I just talked about. Spiritual inspiration to go and get out of the beast. Now, again, nothing's perfect, but I'm trying to explain to you maybe the spiritual aspect of what it represents. Now, let's get into this movie. Now, in the movie, Dorothy is subjected to electric shock therapy. Why? Because she can't sleep, and she's having visions of Oz, and she's trying to share it with her family, but they're like, no, you must be mentally ill. We're going to shock you. Now, understand, if you've been current on some of these new TV series, this is a common theme. Threatening children with shock therapy and putting them in a mental hospital. This is also the theme in the brand new series, Welcome to Derry, about the It Clown and the steam. Welcome to Derry, which then they threaten this girl because she's having these visions of the It Clown, and they don't believe her, and they keep threatening to put these children in a mental institution where this stuff happens. Now, also understand that we had just covered the LSD component to Sandoz Pharmaceuticals, which has the word Oz in it, of course. Sandoz made LSD for the MK Ultra program, so I hope you're awake. All of this fits together. The land of Oz is the subconscious mind. It is the dream state. They're trying to essentially bring all of humanity into a dream state through MK Ultra programming. These massive events in the continuous news cycle, any psyops. And those of us that are awake, we look around and we can see that people are in a dream state, can't we? We see this. We're like, how can you believe that a bullet ricocheted off of the president's ear? And these people fully believe that that really happened. And we're like, they must be completely asleep. Let's get into these clips, you guys. This is insane. Now, we're going to take our time on this today. We're going to really break this down. This is the little girl who plays Dorothy Gale, and she is in the psychiatrist's office, and he's showing her the machine that will give her electric shock therapy.
This electrical marvel will make it possible for you to sleep again.
He pulls this thing out of a cabinet, and it looks like an owl. An owl. It has a face on it.
To cheer Dorothy up. Now this fella here has a face. You see it? And it will also get rid of all those bad waking dreams that you've been telling me about. And your aunt already knows we are at the dawn of a new age. In just 2 months, it will be the year 1900.
Will it hurt?
Will it? No.
Did you hear that? The dawn of a new age. What are the odds? What are the odds that they would say something like that? The aurora, the dawn, the land of nod. Dawn backwards, nodding off, sleep, dozing off.
No. It just manages electrical current. A new century. When it malfunctions, a blow to the head, for example, then the brain produces useless excess currents.
Now remember what he's saying here about the brain and electrical signals and currents, because the current will be how Dorothy passes through the portal when she returns to Oz.
A century of electricity. The brain itself is an electrical machine. It's nothing but a machine. And wouldn't you know, madam, we have found out that sometimes the brain malfunctions. These excess currents are our dreams and delusions.
So I hope you're seeing the Sandoz pharmaceutical connection, dreams, the subconscious mind. This is what the Wizard of Oz was all about.
Just like the dreams that you have, Dorothy. Now we have the means to control these excess currents.
Yes.
Now, next, you're going to see another connection that we've already made many times in these films, and that is the Samhain portal connection. The 5th of November, the last day of the Festival of Samhain, when the veil is lowest. The window of this portal goes from October 31st to the 5th of November. So, of course, there has to be that component in Return to Oz, which is Halloween.
Why did they bring you here, Dorothy? Because I can't sleep. It's Halloween soon. I know.
It's Halloween soon. Now, Dorothy is in room 31. That confirms the Samhain connection. October 31st, 31, the dawn of Samhain.
Why do you have to tie me down?
So that you don't fall off.
I came all the way from the farm in the buggy and didn't fall off.
So there you see the 31 on her door. They strap her down and bring her in. Unbelievable. Now, people that I have talked to about this film, in fact, I wasn't going to screen this film, but some of you in the comment section said, Casey, you need to watch this film. It's full of occult symbolism. And they said when they watched it as a child, they were terrified. Yet this was a mainstream movie for children.
I wish I wasn't tied down.
Nothing to worry about.
What are those?
Hello, Dorothy. How are you? Oh, when you're ready, we'll just put them over your ears, and pretty soon they'll draw all those unpleasant dreams out of your head.
Unbelievable. Now, they put the shock things on her head, but the power goes out. Or so they think. I think the true inference here is that the power really didn't go out, but this was the beginning of Dorothy's disassociation episode. This is when the MK Ultra split occurs and she enters the land of Oz, the dream state. Because after she escapes to the land of Oz, she does so by floating down a river in a crate. Watch.
And when you wake up, you'll never be bothered by them again.
I think we're almost ready.
Anything living that touches it turns to sand.
Ah, just my luck.
Now, now I didn't show much of the river scene here, but there's a whole scene in which she's floating down the river. And I believe that the river is a metaphor for the current that you just heard the guy mention, the psychiatrist mention, the electrical current. Because the current rivers have current, right? And then after floating for a while, the water recedes and it suggests some kind of drain or a portal. So you go from a full lake or river to what she's standing on now. Now, let me go into the chat for those that are paying attention. And you tell me what this scene reminds you of. Floating on a river, landing, and the water's receding. And then we'll continue on. Let me give this a minute. I'll put it on live chat here. Okay. Unbelievable. Because we just talked about this, right? We just talked about it. What does that remind you of? Okay. The flood. Thank you, Older Bones. Yes, what we just said. The ark. She is literally floating on the ark. She went through the portal. The waters are receding. And this is what happened to Noah. Carried by God. Remember, in the Bible, the fountains of the deep is where the water came from. The fountains of the deep. And it also rained, but it also says water came up from the fountains of the deep. And when the water receded, much of it went back down into the fountains of the deep, portals. Many believe it carried the spirits back down into the ground, the evil spirits, or they could be being stored in the waters below. Waters above, waters below. Wow. Now, what else is going on? Let's keep watching here. Now she lands, and she's in this desert of death, I think it's called, something like that. And if you touch the sand, you'll basically turn into sand. And what this reminds me of is the Sandman, which is also Sandoz, the pharmaceutical company. Enter Sandman. It's like a sleep demon or something, right? So that also crosses over with this as well.
Ah, there goes the water. Oh, high and dry.
If we stay on these stones, we'll be all right.
Now, everybody remembers the WikiLeaks, and I believe that was a huge psyop, and I'll tell you why. Because the WikiLeaks were already scrubbed to remove any mention of 9/11. If you really think about it, you'll believe that that is the truth. Why in all of those WikiLeaks was there no discussions and no revelations about 9/11? It's because they had already been scrubbed. But they couldn't get everything, could they? And so they left little nuggets, like the elite referring to children as chickens. And this is where the whole pizza thing came out of, because they didn't scrub everything well enough. Well, in the movie, they call children chickens.
Come here, chicken!
Now, those are called wheelers, and they're basically a bunch of clowns on wheels. You guys, even by today's standards, this was a horrific movie. I mean, think about the nightmares that this caused for children, especially ones that had been through the electric shock therapy. Now, Dorothy is chased into a room by the wheelers, this gang of wheeled clowns. And inside this room, she meets TikTok. Yes, TikTok. Now, we decoded TikTok a couple days ago. We're going to go back over it. Let's watch.
Guaranteed to work perfectly for 1,000 years.
Oh, you don't believe that, do you?
I am TikTok, the Royal Army of Oz.
TikTok, the Royal Army of Oz. And did you catch the 1,000-year connection there? I don't believe that we're in the millennial reign or after it. Some do believe that. But it's weird that they mention this, isn't it? Guaranteed to last 1,000 years. Now, TikTok, according to the story, and you're going to see it here in a minute, he builds Gump. And in fact, TikTok actually did create Trump. That's how he won the youth vote. Let's keep watching here.
His Majesty the Scarecrow locked me in here and told me to wait for you. Good morning, little girl.
Good morning, sir.
Are you Dorothy Gale? And you may call me TikTok.
Why?
Now, of course, TikTok is an artificial intelligence that is mind controlling the next generation of humans. And the metaphor in the movie is that TikTok's, his AI, because he's obviously run by an AI, is what Dorothy uses to consult with to escape danger in the land of Oz. So it's the same scenario. The youth, depending on the artificial intelligence, TikTok, stealing all their time. TikTok, the hours go by, and you're immersed in the artificial intelligence of TikTok. Now, what am I talking about? Well, the TikTok, the algorithm, is now world famous. Why? Because the TikTok app does the best job of any of the apps at using your data to feed you back information to guide you down a path, doesn't it? This is why it's so addicting. It's the most addicting app because it keeps reinforcing and giving you more and more of what you want. And it uses your private microphone on your phone and your camera to do so. It's right there in the terms and conditions. Let's keep watching here.
Dorothy Gale. And you may call me TikTok.
Why won't you turn to stone just like everybody else?
If you keep me wound up, make sure my think works are extra tight and I will formulate a plan. I am only a machine, so I cannot be sorry or happy, no matter what happens.
Where's the scarecrow?
I'm a terrible person!
I believe I'll lock you in the tower for a few years till your head is ready.
So who is this? This is Princess Mombi, she's called. And she collects human heads. And when she encounters Dorothy, she wants Dorothy's head, which leads me to believe that Dorothy must represent the bride of Christ in the last days, trying to find their way out of this nightmare called Oz, the narrow gate back to Christ. And what is Dorothy doing in Oz? Well, she's looking for the Scarecrow. And I had to think about that for a minute. Well, let's watch this first. I'm getting sidetracked.
And then I'll take it. Different from my other heads.
A pumpkin, if you please.
There's other head references. The pumpkin head, who Dorothy meets and the Pumpkinhead calls her mother. But let's back up a bit. Because one of you asked me, okay, Casey, so she's looking for the Scarecrow. And I'm like, well, what could that represent? Well, what would the Bride of Christ be doing looking for a Scarecrow? I think they're looking for the straw man. They're trying to expose the straw man, because the straw man is essentially, what do they call it? It's the corporation, the corpse. It's how the enemy tries to take ownership of our souls, of our crowns. We belong to Christ, don't we? Not to the enemy. But when you are born into the corporation, until you're born again, you do belong to the enemy, because he has your crown. We almost have to be born again to get our crown back. We have to erase the straw man. Right? That's why Dorothy's looking for the straw man. Now, there's a little bit more to this, isn't there? The burning of the straw man. The burning man. Mind blown. The 5th of November saw when the burning of the man, the new fire ceremony, all of it is encoded in The Wizard of Oz. So, it's a battle for the straw man, to expose it, and then we belong to Christ. We're the bride of Christ. So, we go with him through the narrow gate, back through the tornado portal, right? With him. Now, let's keep going with this. Now, here's where we see the first images of Gump, this homunculus golem that's assembled by TikTok. And we also see Jack the Pumpkinhead, and he explains how he encountered Mombi. Watch.
My name's Jack. Jack Pumpkinhead.
What happened to your mother?
She vanished. I think Mombi enchanted her. In Cabinet 31, with her.
So, Cabinet 31, that's another October 31st confirmation. Dorothy meets Pumpkinhead. They assemble Gump, the golem homunculus, and they bring him to life with the powder of life.
In Cabinet 31, with her original head.
Good. Now go and get the head, Jack. Hurry.
Yeah.
Now go and get the head, Jack. Hurry. So they're assembling him.
Yes, sir.
They pull the head, the Gump head, off the wall. Now listen very carefully.
The head of a Gump.
The head of a Gump.
Belina, where's that cord?
They get the cord, which is essentially the umbilical cord.
Over here, Belina.
Belina is the name of the chicken, if you didn't know that.
Excellent. Now we must dump the head in the front.
Now we must Gump the head in the front. They put the head on, and it's basically couches and palm tree leaves and a broom and a moose's head.
And tie Jack's feet together. Bring that mantelpiece to the desk and anoint that one.
Anoint the palms. The anointing of the palms. Wow.
Yes, and anoint that one.
Right. Anoint the palm.
Then Pumpkinhead repeats it. Dorothy anoints the palms with the powder of life and brings the homunculus to life. This is why I've been telling you Trump is an ancient entity. There's too much predictive programming in all of this.
Make sure you do the head so we can see where it's going.
Now, does anybody know what anointing the palms means? I know it's early and it's a Monday morning, but wait, it's Tuesday. Jeez. Okay, let's do a search here. What is the meaning of anointing palms? I used to know this, but what is it? Consecration, healing, and being set apart for God's purpose. Symbolizes that one's actions are represented by the hands are being surrendered to Christ for service, healing, and ministry. Obviously, this isn't it's the opposite of this, isn't it? It's the opposite of it, bringing a homunculus to life, putting life into this. Now, let's keep watching here. Now, at this point, they have to bring this homunculus to life. They have to bring Gump to life. And Dorothy has to say the secret words, which is way, te, pay. WTP. Watch here.
Weog, Teog, Peog.
Peog?
So Gump Trump comes to life, the moose head, it. This is the first form that Pennywise, the fallen star angel, took in the Welcome to Derry TV series. Let's look it up. His name was Galoo. And it was also a moose. See how all this is connected? I hope you do. This is Galoo, the first form of Pennywise the Clown, a moose's head. Now, let's keep going.
That's it!
So they escape, they fly away in Gump, sorry. And he says, TikTok says, fly until dawn. So we get a second dawn mention. Remember, the dawn of a new age, fly until dawn.
Dad, give me your hand.
Now, here I am, flying through the air. The last thing I remember is walking through the forest and hearing a loud noise. What am I anyway?
We built you and brought you to life so that you could take us to the Gnome King to rescue the Scarecrow. You're just a thing with a...
You're just a thing with a Gump's head on it. You're an it. You are an it, is what she's telling him.
Gump's head on it.
I may not last very long. I don't feel too well put together.
Oh, don't say that.
The best thing to do is to keep flying until dawn.
Keep flying until dawn. Did you notice the full moon? Trump was born on a lunar eclipse, of course, in 1946. So they go to the Gnome King mountain to find the Scarecrow, where Dorothy is sucked down into the center of the mountain.
Your friend is the thief.
And here's something else we've talked about at length. The packed hexagonal column basalt around the world, coming up out of the ground. This is actually the, if you want to call it, the foundation of our prison. I believe the firmament above looks like this as well, and below. This is Oz. These are also the scales of the serpent. And here they are in the movie. We did a viral video, I want to say about 8 years ago. It was right before the No Trees on Flat Earth went viral. Because we had already talked about that, didn't we? We found it in the eye, the anatomy of the human eye. We found this same hexagonal packed structure, these column basalt. Now, geology tells us this is formed by magma cooling and coming up out of the earth, and then forming this perfect hexagonal packed structure. But we all know that that's probably impossible. We know that these were likely tree stumps. Now, how did we find this? Well, let's dive deep today, you guys. Okay, now I got to go back into the memory banks because we're going off the show notes here. Okay, cross-section of the cornea of the eye. So, the cross-section of the cornea of the eye has what appears to be the same structure. Here's a picture here. That's blurry. Let's see if we can open this in an open image. Let's see if that will show us. That's still blurry. Let's go to the site. Nope, we're not going to do that. Let's see here. There's got to be some other images of this. When you cross-section the cornea of the eye, you will see the same exact structure. It's a hexagonal packed matrix. The same structure exists when you cross-section the lens of the eye. So, if you were standing on the lens, let's find the picture here, of the eye, which is where I believe we are actually standing. To pull this up here, this is a good one. If you invert this whole image and you're standing on this convex lens, and you slice through the lens, this is exactly what you will see, the cross-section of the lens of the eye. Let's see if we can find that. Google is not good anymore. You used to be able to pull this stuff right up. Okay, here it is. There you see it. The cross-sections of the lens of the eye. This is probably the best we're going to get for now. They also change these images over time. But there is a... Let's see, there's got to be a different image here. Now, all of this we already covered in the body code about a decade ago. And of course, now all of it's gone, but it's documented in the body code. When you slice through here, this is what you see in the human lens of the eye. So let's backtrack here. Flip this whole thing upside down. We're standing on the lens looking up into the vault. Now, a lot of people get this reversed. They believe that the world is here and we're looking up. No, the kingdom of heaven is within. So we don't look outwardly. That's the lie. We look inwardly. So we're standing on the lens. Everything is reversed. The iris is Sheol below. These are the waters below. In this fluid up here, and down here is the sky. Okay? We're looking up into the vault. Now, when you cross-section the walls of these rods and cones, it also is the same hexagonal packed matrix, which would suggest that the firmament, which I believe are the walls of the eye, are also made of this. So it's below and above. The lens moves. This is pretty much, I believe, what the shape of the earth is. It's flat-ish. It's like a tiered cake. But it moves. It grows. I believe that's the sin of the earth, filling it. And this is what's causing all the earthquakes. It says there will be earthquakes in one place after another. The change of earth and all this. It's the lens of sin, the cup of sin filling up. Okay. And again, below, these are the waters below. Up here in the, this is the vitreous humor down here. And the aqueous humor is up here. It's a small cavity up here. Okay. Now that I butchered that, what I'll do is I'll link the video that we found all this in, which shows all the images and everything for you guys in the pinned comment. But I needed to show you that so that you can understand what you're looking at here. This is what's under our feet. And you can see in parts of the earth where it's carved away, there are many sites like this. And they are like tree stumps. The tree stumps once reached the heavens. Well, what am I talking about? Well, there's actually a tree stump. It comes right up through the middle of this, and it's called the hyaloid canal. And it connects to the retina of your eye, which look like the branches. And they're all holding fruit. What am I talking about? Rods, cones, bipolar cells, and ganglion. The 3 cells that make up the lining of the wall. They're all hanging like fruit in the tree of the retina. The trunk comes down. I believe that's one of the trees of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which are our 2 eyes. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We're locked in this dimension, and the only way through is the narrow gate. Where's the narrow gate? Well, it's Jesus Christ. You go through the middle of the tree trunk, coming up, down. You go up to heaven. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is within, not looking outward. This is why Eve could not see when she was in the garden until she took of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Then her eyes were opened out into the deception instead of looking within. And you go down the tree trunk, but remember, it's up because everything's reversed. You cross through the center of the brain, which is where the 2 tree trunks cross. That's where Jesus is, the center of the brain. The kingdom of heaven is within. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye's single, your whole body will be full of light. If it's dark, your whole body will be full of darkness. He was talking about the pineal gland. That's your eye. That's where the kingdom of heaven is. It's just an antenna to get to him. The power of it comes through belief in him and all the other tenets of the gospel. Believing in him, believing he died and rose again, and not looking out into the deception, but looking inside. Now, once you pass through the center where these optic nerves cross, because remember, we're going through the tree, the hyaloid canal, through the retina, and into the optic nerve. They cross in the middle. That's where Jesus was crucified, at the cross. I hope all this is making sense, you guys. This is the body code. And once you cross through, where do you end up after the optic nerves cross in the brain? Let's look it up. Optic nerve crossing. I like to show visuals, but since Google has stolen all the knowledge, here we are. The optic nerve crosses in the middle. We go through the narrow gates, and it ends up in the back of the brain. Where is that? That's called the tree of life. Literally, the arbor vitae. The tree of life. We go back to the tree of life with God, where we have everlasting life, but it's only through belief in Jesus Christ. And that's the body code. Don't look outwardly. Outwardly is where you're deceived. The kingdom of heaven is within. We have to go through Jesus. He's on the cross here. The crossing optic nerves. We even found images of Jesus in the cross sections of the brain where these optic nerves cross, crucified. It was written on our flesh. The tables of the heart is where the word is written, it says in the Bible. Some believe that the word heart was mistranslated, and it really means the brain. The truth is written on the brain, the tables of the brain, the cross sections of the brain. All of this is in the Bible. If you want to do a Bible study on tables of the heart and where the word is written. So that's a quick synopsis. And I apologize for not finding the visuals, but this is how they hide the truth. It's good we found it when we did, didn't it? Or isn't it? Now let's keep going here. So here's Dorothy. Okay, she's in the land of Oz. Now, at this point, she runs into the Gnome King, who's basically a rock. He's a rock, and he can speak through other rocks all around the world, or all around Oz. He's like the all-seeing rock. Wherever there's a rock, he can see. And he tells them, if you can't solve the riddle, you'll be turned into an ornament, a relic in his library. And this is the inside of the Gnome King's library. And one by one, they fail to solve the riddle. And each of them is turned into a relic. Now, what I want you to notice is all the Egyptian iconography in this room. Okay. Remember Sardoz and all the Egyptian iconography in that movie? Sardoz from the 1980s as well. That was like the 1970s. Well, here it is repeated. She looks on the table and there's goats. I mean, this is unbelievable. Look at this. Frogs. There's the Keck frog. Keep watching here. Now, as each of them fails to solve the riddle, the Rock King, the Gnome King, he becomes more and more human. So this is his goal, is to take the life out of them, turn them into inanimate objects so he can become an animate object.
Nino.
I'm finally late for egg.
My head.
Now, Bellina, the chicken, when she lays the egg, that becomes the poison of the Gnome King. He eats her egg and he is destroyed. That must be the seed of the woman bruising him in the head, right? She's bruised in the heel, he's bruised in the head. Well, he eats the egg and it kills him. The seed of the woman. Now, why is that important? Well, that has to mean the 144,000 remnant of the last days. Bruising the serpent in the head.
I must say, this life is stranger than my last one.
And so they defeat the Gnome King. They rescue the straw man. In the end of the movie, Gump says, I must say, this life is stranger than my last one. So there you go. That's the demonic possession down through the ages. One body after another, the demons body hop until the appointed time. Wow. And that's the end of the movie. So did you guys see all of the the themes that cross over from the Wicked franchise, the talking animals? I don't think I showed the lion, but he's in here too. But he makes a brief appearance. But yeah, lots of crossovers, very dark, just like the Wicked films are dark. Unbelievable. So that's the full decode on The Return to Oz. All right, I'm back in the chat for a bit, you guys. Wow. Body snatchers, yes. Pumpkinhead ties to Ichabod Crane and Sleepy Hollow too, yes. The moose reps the Ark of the Covenant as well. Yes, I believe you're right, R. Jones, but it's a dark ark. It's not the true ark. It's the enemy's version of an ark, right? So it's the unholy ark, which to them is, right? Okay, let's think this through. What would the moose homunculus represent? That's their way of surviving down through the ages, to keep creating these golems and possessing them. Okay, that's their ark. That's how they survive. Their seed continues on down through the ages. You see how everything's the opposite? Everything that God does it is good. The enemy has an opposite version. Well, the problem is, Ampavu, is that this is the mainstream. This is how people are being programmed. Okay? Everybody else is watching this except this remnant of people who actually sees the truth for what it is in these movies. So, this is why these decodes are so important, because the masses go and get programmed by this information on some ritual level. And they have no idea what they're watching. Their children get programmed by it. They get programmed by it. And they have no idea what it means. When you come to this channel, every single scene now makes sense. If you ever watched a movie and you're like, what did I just watch? This is when we were all asleep, right? We didn't know what we were watching. We're like, why would they put that in a movie, or this? Or what does that mean? Who writes these scripts? What does that mean? And you come away from the film completely lost. Like, I just watched something, but I don't know what I watched. Well, when you come to this channel, you understand every single scene. And that's important because we're not supposed to be living in darkness and not knowing how we're being programmed. So we can say that people are dumb for watching this stuff, but that's not going to solve anything. It is what it is. The enemy controls this world. The best we can do is decipher it and decrypt it and lead them back to Jesus Christ and reinforce the truth about all this. Okay? So, yes, it's the hive mind. And it's interesting that the packed hexagonal honeycombs look just like a beehive, don't they? That's where that comes from. So, have I decoded Forrest Gump? Yes, we did that at some time. Thanks, Rebecca Rue. So, now, well, what I just showed you is supernatural script writing. Who could keep all this straight? There has to be a common author, doesn't there? That's the devil. He's the common author of all media entertainment. He rules this world. This is why so many people don't believe in God anymore. Because they've been programmed not to through all of this stuff. So, I guess a lot of people had electric shock therapy because they tuned out of the show. I wasn't meant to scare you. I just wanted to protect your spirit. You know, I don't want you to see something that's going to bring you back to a place that you've already healed from. So, yeah, probably a couple hundred people dropped out of this show because of what they experienced. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? That this was on TV and in movie theaters in 1985. So, all right. All right. Thanks, you guys, for showing up. Oh, Kat Brackman had forced ECT. I'm sorry that happened to you. Now you know where it comes from. They are trying to put you into a beta state. The land of Oz. A lot of times this was used with LSD and things like these substances to mind control people. So it's a gift from God that you came out of it, even to the point where you're showing up at a decode today about it. And you're awake to the truth about all this. That's a miracle. And so your testimony is important. Because this is a real thing. It's happened to a lot of people. And it needs to be exposed. So we can protect our children from what's coming. If they could do that to people back then, which wasn't that long ago, imagine what they're trying to do now. They're trying to do a different form of it now. All these 5G towers and, algorithms. It's just another form of electric shock therapy. That's all it is. Whoa. Look, they tried to censor your comment. That's crazy. See, they don't want us talking about it, you guys. So, all right, guys, we're going to pop off of here. I love you, and I'll likely see you tomorrow or the day after. I'm not sure yet. But have a great rest of your day, everybody. Much love.